Placemaking. Put it simply, how do we make a place nice? I would say center it around one thing: the people.
Public centers have always played a vital role in connecting the city and its people. Good morning to one and all present. Today, I am presenting my thesis topic that focuses on developing an urban cultural center at Willingdon Island, Kochi. My thesis process started with the site as the basic component. The context and site study is what that led to my thesis topic. So I am following the same framework by introducing my site. Willingdon Island resides in the heart of Indian people as the first artificial island generated by the British generals for the purpose of serving port activities. But after the shifting of these activities in 2013, there arose a concern for the future of the island. It was then when the Cochin Port Trust issued the proposal to transform Willingdon to a tourist destination hub. So, in order to understand what the proposal should be, the context and site study was conducted. In 1870, the idea of making a great harbour in Willingdon was discussed among British generals. During 1940, Willingdon witnessed an industrial development with port as its main focus. And by 1990, with the arrival of urbanization, Willingdon emerged as the largest port in Kerala. Willingdon was developed in two phases. As the intensity of port activities increased, the second phase dredging commenced in 1988. 50% of Willingdon belongs to Port Trust and the rest 50% comes under naval base. The land use map of 2007 shows the main use as port activities, that is in purple color, with northern tip as the administration head. After the shifting of port activities to Vallapadam in 2013, majority of the port used areas were left abandoned as in grey color, and the southern tip is left unutilized. The future proposed land use denotes the proposals of logistic parks, residential zones, and conversion of the southern tip to a business district. An interpretation zone is marked that could be altered as per the proposal in the site. The only structure in the vicinity is Maritime University along with container tanks along the West Fairferry. The southern tip of Willingdon is chosen as the site. The area of the site is 26 acres after considering CRZ regulations. It has almost flat topography with two bridges running at its two edges, with one of them forming its physical border. The view from surrounding spots makes the site tip the main focus. The right side of the site has deep water, wherein the left side has shallow water, providing with beach-like experience. The SWOT analysis indicates historical, cultural, and physical positioning as the main strength of the site. Opportunity includes transforming the site to a landmark for Kochi with efficient tourist inflow and connectivity. The unique shape of the site is another point, drawing in design challenges. The adjacent naval airport and naval base brings challenges like height and other restrictions. As it is said, community happens when you make connections based on a sense of place and purpose. Here, after the site analysis, conclusion arrives to develop an urban cultural center at Willingdon that exhibits and enhances the cultural heritage of Kochi and revive the island. Now the question is, why culture? Culture was chosen due to the rich heritage in the context, including the Kochi Binale. The tourist statistics of Kochi denotes continuous increase in tourist number over the years. Also, as per site analysis, the main user groups are tourists, island inhabitants, and Kochi residents. Culture has the potential to bring them together and serve their expectations. Now, the cultural components includes an already proposed performing arts center at Willingdon by the tourism department that houses local art forms and its training centers, a museum representing the history and culture of the context, food street for Kerala food experience, co-working hub targeting the neighboring business CBDs, generating interactive working culture. The case studies were selected considering various aspects that could help understand the project scale and output. National Center for Performing Arts Mumbai was studied to understand the functions and spatial organization of a performing arts center. Designed by architect Philip Johnson, it thrives to preserve India's cultural heritage. The particular case study threw light upon the functional side of performing theatres and focused on how to create a national platform for the same. Kala Academy Goa was chosen to understand the functioning of an urban center in terms of culture, interaction, and its output to the context. Designed by Charles Correa, it aims to promote cultural unity. The study gave an idea about the main components in urban centers and its public inviting and engaging factors. Kala Kendra Jaipur was studied to analyze and understand a completely open to public cultural center and the successful implementation of a concept to design. Designed by architect Charles Correa, the structure draws in all age groups and any community to interact and engage freely. The spatial organization and conceptual blocks bring out a perfect story, attracting anyone to it. Mohanam Cultural Complex in Auroville was selected to understand community-based performing arts center and to study its ethnic culture and touristic nature. Designed by architect Suhasini Iyer, the campus is basically the need of the local community to practice their rituals and also functions as an information exchange center for the visitors. National Center for Performing Arts Varkala emphasis on understanding Kerala specific performing spaces and functions. Designed by architect P. Sudhir, the center gives an insight about the traditional art forms of Kerala and its storyline leading to the design aspects to be considered. Comparative analysis was carried out considering the parameters derived from the case studies. Coming to contextual analysis, NCPA Mumbai is in a business district, naturally attracting tourists and locals, while Kala Academy Goa and NCPA Varkala is in a commercial zone while taking advantage of the touristic nature of the place. Mohanam Cultural Center is in the experimental town edge of Auroville and is provided with the opportunity to exhibit its maximum. While analyzing the character, both NCPAs are gated entity, while Kala Academy Goa and Mohanam Cultural Center is partially open to public with minimal private zones. Kala Kendra Jaipur, wherein invite all kind of users and function 24 into 7 for anything and anyone. As for influence, all of the case studies exhibit cultural essence of its context. And case studies like Kala Kendra Jaipur acts as a landmark or representation of the whole city. Coming to design approach, both NCPAs focused on fulfilling the basic needs and standards of a national level performing center, while Kala Academy focused on implementing efficient spatial movement within the campus. Kala Kendra Jaipur was a landmark structure and it aimed to recall the original Jaipur city plan. Mohanam Center was inspired from local settlement and domestic forms. Coming to cultural aspects, all the case studies had basic art forms like dance, music, drama, etc. But some also had region specific art forms and programs. For example, film screening in NCPA Mumbai, Kalari in NCPA Varkala, etc. So adding an element of regional art form or program can bring in identity element for the placemaking purpose. The lifestyle study concludes with elements that contribute to the development of such centers in the city, such as film craze and international tourist destination as in Mumbai, the music craze and leisure activity of Goa, the architectural marvel of Jaipur, folklore and tourism in Varkala, etc. These prominent elements decide the activity density and level of interaction in each cases. Most of the case studies have film festival as one of its main fests, with regional fests like Wine Fest, Beach Fest, carnivals and community fests. While designing, the project must be feasible to invite in and serve any kind of program or activity, thus calls for multifunctional and transformable spaces. Coming to social aspects, user groups are studied and for both NCPS and Mohanam in Auroville, main user groups are performers, audience and tourists. While in both Kala Academy and Kala Kendra, the main focus is on public along with researchers, art critics, etc. The user activities includes tourist activities, nightlife, food-related activities, experiencing spaces, campaigns, volunteering, etc. Coming to site level planning. In all of the cases, the built spaces are zoned with respect to a central entity. The entity may differ in each case. For example, the central green patch for NCPA Mumbai, the traditional Goan street in Kala Academy, amphitheatre in Kala Kendra, etc. The circulation witnessed multiple entries for NCPAs, while public centers aim to create one entry bringing together all user groups. The proximity between spaces arises as a major concern. Based on case studies, standards, and building rules, an area programming chart was formulated with the design components as explained in the brief.
So, the main intention of the project is to induce activity to the site and surroundings. Thus, I tried to bring in the concept of everyday urbanism to my project. Everyday urbanism was introduced in 1999, which is concerned with specific activities of daily life. This concept strengthens frequently unnoticed existing situations and experiences that occur in everyday life. Everyday urbanism mainly focuses on three elements. That is, ephemerality. It is an activity that appears and disappears in a short period of time. So, the spatial opportunities for such activities were listed out. Multiplicity deals with the individual and combined purpose served by each functional activities. Venn diagrams were drawn as per design brief and interactive overlapping zones were identified. Simultaneity is simply the transparency of each activity within the site. In order to attain a clear picture, the activities practiced by common man in a public place were listed down with respect to age and other criteria. Studying the pattern, three fundamental activities were grouped, such as dynamic, that constitutes frequent movement, pause, that includes sedentary activities, and passage, that constitutes transitional activities. This understanding were combined with everyday urbanism theory and the design elements were developed, that is, node, districts, and paths. The zoning process commenced with the study of public exposure of the site. On the basis of openness, the central zone of the site was found most suitable for semi-gated facilities. The main access is from the highway road, providing the site entry with an opportunity to act as gateway for whole Willingdon. Main parking can be provided at the road lane border, making it easy to access from the road and will not break views. The internal road runs along the border and directs vehicles to the site exit. The already existing CPCT walkway can be extended within the site, providing the similar edge character. View access were considered with respect to the site that analyzes the views from and to the site and marks the most exposed and experienced zones in the site. On functional basis, the design blocks were zoned around a central public spot with history, performances and training center welcoming the guests, following to public gathering spots and then distributing to museum, co-working hub, etc. The right half reflects the ethnic culture of Kochi, while the other side emphasizes the developing nature of the city. The highway side boundary forms the physical transition point between central Ernakulam and its cultural lands like Mattancherry, Fort Kochi, etc., A specific activity needs to be introduced so as to create a dramatic happening public vista inviting in public. S1 and S2 denotes the site edges opening to water body. These are further discussed in special topic sheet. I2 indicates the site edge which forms the landmark zone with visual focus from all sides. All this overlaid with conceptual theory gives multiplicity triangles that denotes the two districts, that is cultural and public districts, two nodes, that is gateway and site entry nodes, and the passage path within the site.
After conducting and recording the primary zoning process, deep focus was drawn into the site and its immediate context. While considering the relationship between public life and the potential site positioning, the idea of an axial connection evolved, providing a transitional character to the site. The other functional elements were zoned with respect to this axis. Even with the intangible axis, the need for a happening space emerged for which Kalaritara proved to be the best choice. Kalaritara is zoned in the entrance part that welcomes and provides the visitors with an idea of the project. Both museum and performing arts center is zoned at two sides of the axis. The axis then continues to the exhibition pavilion and art workshops. The training center is zoned towards the tip with an identity tower to capture attention from waterside. The co-working hub is directly accessed from the main road. My special topic is water edge treatment. The site has great potential due to its unique positioning. As I explained in site analysis sheet, the two edges exhibits two different characters. The right edge is what first noticed from the bridge. Thus, a compiled vision of the project needs to be visualized there, and hence, what's seen to the site is important here. Whereas, in the left side, what's seen from the site is focused, as the edge has shallow water and provides with a pleasant vantage point. It is further discussed in layout plan. Coming to site layout. As it is a part of an urban frame, importance was given to the building footprints, the connection spaces, public functional spaces, and context level connectivity. The site has two main entry points. The main entry immediately after the bridge, which is exclusively for pedestrians. This entry serves as the welcoming plaza with identity tower catching the visitor's eye, a cultural exhibition pavilion for street arts, street plays, talks, classes, etc., which is used by anyone anytime. Also, the food court directly attracts casual travelers to the site. Performing arts is not restricted within built structures, and the plaza emphasizes this part. The tourists and other user groups are welcomed by the cultural hub that practically provides an intro of the site, culture, and the context. This structure is in a raised platform, indicating the start of the cultural center. The central zone consists of the amphitheater that brings together various user groups and invokes collaborations. Immediate next to it is Museum and Performing Arts Center, serving as the center of attraction of the whole site. From amphitheater, there is a direct access to the activity pavilion, which exhibits multiplicity character so as to incorporate any event or fest anytime. There also exist temporary selling stalls for the exhibits prepared in the site. Training center is zoned away from the public zones and is partially gated. There is direct access to co-working hub as well. While coming to edge treatment, the right side edge provides with capturing views, exhibits, relaxing points, etc. The particular edge starts with Foot Street that faces the water edge. The lawn in front of the court flows into the edge and provides relaxing and calming spaces with water as background. Immediate next to it is the basic public library block. In front of it stands a literature or poetry park for the readers and other user groups. The left edge particularly deals with vibrant activities. The exhibition pavilions and workshops are incorporated in this edge. The CPCT walkway extension includes foot streets in both sides. A vantage point is also created, which acts as an extension of the central axis. The site components explained right now are shown in this representation. On the basis of conceptual derivation, three main zones are identified in the site, with each of it exhibiting the three elements of everyday urbanism concept. The ephemerality zone comprises of spaces, blocks, buildings, etc., exhibiting transformable character. This includes the usage of a single space differently by different user groups. This zone accepts and follows the unpredictable changing character of the urban form, but yet remains functional throughout. The simultaneity zone mainly consists of spaces for definite activities, but there exists more than one activity or program. This zone brings in the 24/7 working quality of the site. The multiplicity zone marks the areas that calls out for foreign activities or programs that are new, fresh, and different from the usual type. This character of the site makes it ready to accommodate any kind of activity. The vehicular layer shows the main entry and different dropout zones. The highlighted portions are the parking spaces in the site. This road also serves as the service path. The pedestrian zones are highlighted here. The central axis along with the water edge together constitute the path for pedestrians, with activities and functions greeting them in between. The built components starts with cultural hub and co-working facility, which is immediately next to the main road. The cultural hub is in a raised platform of 2.4-meter height and houses Kalaritara, which is placed at level 0. It is the attracting feature to the site. The hub houses enquiry services, public orientation zones, oral narration spaces, etc. The hub also houses the meetings and discussion rooms for local cultural clubs and boards. The purpose of the structure is to invite in any kind of user and prepare him or her for the journey within the site. The form was developed keeping in mind ways to collaborate modern as well as traditional architecture, which is seen mostly in the context. The co-working hub consists of studio spaces for working in group or as individuals. There exists official and unofficial meeting rooms, discussion zones, etc. for the same. The structure is to highlight and produce better outputs from the working culture. It consists of green spaces, interaction zones, etc., so as to boost the productivity. The second block is museum. The proposed museum exhibits the cultural heritage of Kerala as a whole while reflecting and focusing on Kochi for regional emphasis. Particularly in case of Willingdon, the port-related exhibits and galleries are important. This museum has the potential to be connected to the Maritime Museum at the north end via a history trail. It houses general welcoming area with cloakrooms, director, HR rooms, etc., with a central transition space for circulation as well as it is used for installation purpose. The galleries and exhibit zones are designed in such a way that water body decorates its background. The two-story building has a total height of 18 meter with large span ceilings for hanging installations. The museum is connected to Performing Arts Center via walkway. The front elevation directs the user to the installation yard in the back. Performing Arts Center. Performing Arts Center is also designed in a raised platform of 1.5 meter from road level. It houses two main theaters, one for performing arts and the other for talks and presentations. Along the entry part, there exists a movie wall interacting with the landscape nearby. The amphitheaters goes down to Service Road that connects the backstage of both theaters. The first floor is mainly for viewing the waterside with formal meeting and discussion spaces. The training center is welcomed by an identity park that exhibits the academy landmark and invites in professionals and students. The main arts includes music, dance, Kathakali and Kudiyattam training. The structure is provided with mini and big stages, extended classrooms, etc., so as to include any other art or cultural form in future. This structure is situated at the site tip and thus exhibits landmark character with towers celebrating graffiti, wall painting, visual presentations, etc. Here are the public zone views: the entry plaza, food court, cultural hub, amphitheater, etc. I hope you enjoyed my presentation. Now please look forward for the walkthrough. Thank you.